I'm going to quit my 350K job at Google to move into my parents' basement.
Jim Tang is the ex-Google engineer
that left job safety and security behind because a dream job
can easily become a nightmare.
You had the dream job, you get there, but what was actually wrong?
I thought it was something wrong with Google. I value agency and freedom and truth.
The day you quit Google, what happened after that?
That's when I posted like this string of back-to-back viral videos. I was so judgmental of social media before, but I forced myself to do the first post.
A lot of the times what freedom equates to is like isolation. You're kind of solo traveling right now, right? Like, do you struggle with that? Hey everybody, before we start this podcast, I have a quick opportunity. Whoever comments a question and gets the most likes, that question I will ask next week's guest. But the catch is you have no idea who the guest is. So be wise, ask a creative question, and enjoy the episode. Jim Tang, I am going to start us off with a question, and we're going to get right into the meat of things. So for people that don't know, you used to work at Google, which is everybody's dream job. A lot of kids, they would kill to work at Google, but you quit. And the question I have for you is, when you quit, how much money were you walking away from?
Yeah, sure. Wow, I feel like I'm the killer of kids' dreams now. But, yeah, sure. So I quit this year in June, and I was going to make around 350K this year.
Wow. Okay, so for someone to walk away from that, first of all, the first thing that comes to mind is, dude, I have a lot of respect for you, and you're probably going to triple that, quadruple that, 10x that amount of money in no time. That's the first thing that comes to mind because a lot of people do not have risk tolerance like that. But the second thing that comes to mind is, why would you ever leave a job like that?
Yeah, sure. I appreciate that, man. I think that, most people don't have the risk tolerance like that. And I was like that. That was why I stayed for so long. So, it's a long story on why I actually quit. But to give like the quick summary, I stayed for a long time. I stayed for 3.5 years. And during that time, like at the beginning, it was all great. But let me go back to my first job. I really didn't like. I started in corporate, stayed at American Express for 1.5 years.
And
Didn't like it at all.
This is internship, or how old are you during this time?
I had an internship there in junior year, and then I got a return offer for my new grad job.
Okay.
Yeah. So I got there immediately, really didn't like corporate. I had like a teammate who I had to report to, and like it was just I just hated it. So I was trying to get out of corporate. And so I got into Google and I was like, all right, now this is like, I kind of fixed the problem. I think I'm going to be good here. And so for 3 years I was there. Over the course of time, I was like, all the perks and benefits, everything worked so great at first. Or they are still great. It's like definitely a good job. I think just on a personal level though, I started feeling like I was not living true to myself. And that just slowly caught up to me over the years. I think ever since starting at corporate really, but then like at Google, even though it was the dream job, I just felt like, is this all there is to life? I was working on this B2B application that makes a ton of money for Google, of course, but it's like, I just didn't feel any fulfillment. I just didn't even like want to work on it every day. And so, yeah, over time, I just like kind of got disillusioned, I feel like, about a corporate dream job. And then, I did end up getting depressed like by the end of it. And that was what actually pushed me to leave, because otherwise I would not have ever had like the activation energy to actually take on this kind of risk.
Right.
And yeah, that was basically the summary of it.
So when you said this was like the dream job, I relate to that heavy. And like I went to WashU, so it's a good school. It's not Ivy level, but it's kind of where kids that get rejected from Ivies, they'll end up there. So they're a little bit salty about the school. But anyway, when you're at that school, you're surrounded in an environment where you're pushed IB, you're pushed consulting, and you're pushed these huge companies that have huge status names. And everybody is driven by status. Like you're a freshman or you're a sophomore, and you visualize someday that LinkedIn post that says, I'm going to work at BCG, or I'm going to work at McKinsey or Goldman Sachs. And that's the dream. But the more I understood this and I like networked and talked with people, it's like when they got into those companies, they actually hated it. Like they really like there's one girl that got into Goldman Sachs and she's talking about how miserable she is and she just wants to get out of it. So my question is, so you you had the dream job, you get there, but what was actually wrong with Google and why did it not feel fulfilling?
Yeah. So I've gone back on and forth on this thought a lot. Like originally I thought, well, I think Google just had I thought it was something wrong with Google. I think for me, it's actually more so something that's wrong with my personal values not lining up with corporate. And I think
Hmm.
people just typically, I would say most people don't really think their job is that their life's calling or whatever. But
Yeah.
like, I think for me, it was that I value agency and freedom and just like truth. And
Hmm.
at Google, it is a good company. Like you get all these perks. Like everyone is smart as heck, smarter than me, most of them. But it just wasn't aligned with my values again. So it was just like, I think working on the B2B SaaS app, that it's like, man, I'm just a little cog in this giant machine. Nothing
Right.
actually is working. I'm working on ads. So I was just like, this isn't really aligned with what I want. Um, and I think part of what contributes to it is what you mentioned with the fact that everybody treats this company like this is the goal, right?
Right.
Everybody is dreaming of that LinkedIn post. For Google, it's like their motto is from one day to day one, right? And that's the LinkedIn post that people make. And so there's all this marketing and hype around Google, all this hype around these big companies like BCG and stuff. Once you get there, you should be like, you like fix your life or like you've like made it, right? But when you get there, you realize it's just another job.
Right.
Um, so I think that's the thing that I think any company I would have just eventually gotten disillusioned. Maybe like some sort of smaller startup I would have been okay with.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And so before I ask you the next question, kind of like what you're doing now, you brought up like you just like triggered a moment in my head. So when you say where it's like, oh, you land that job at Google or BCG, which is like your dream job. I remember vividly my sophomore year, I was obsessed with getting a job in consulting at BCG in Chicago. And I remember one day at baseball practice, like I was just like visualizing and thinking, and my mind was wandering. And I'm like, dude, I get this internship, I'm set up for the rest of my life. Like the rest of my life, it will be comfortable, it will be easy. I don't have to do anything else. Like I think about that now. First of all, I wouldn't want to work at a company like that. But even if I was there, bro, I'm dumb as hell. Like it wouldn't even be close to being comfortable with setup. Like there's so many other huge obstacles that will come up. You have to work your way through the company anyway. Like there's so many more challenges. But it's a weird point when you say like if you get into a company like that, boom, you're gonna be set for the rest of your life. It's kind of
dude,
strange.
absolutely. It's like so true though. Like I felt when you said that, it also triggered something in my mind where I was like, when I got that offer letter, I was like, this is it. I'm here till
Yeah,
I'm 60. Let's go. Like this is the life now. But yeah.
dude, for real. Okay, so you're at Google. You left now, and so you've been blowing up on social media. Like I think you gained. I don't know exactly what the number, but you're over 100K, and you gained that very very rapidly. So walk me through the day you quit Google. What happened after that, and where are you right now?
Yeah, sounds good. So the full timeline, I ended up taking the mental health leave from Google first. And so I filed for 3 months. That was back in March. And so during that first month, I was just like, all right, let me just figure out what I'm going to do. Because I'm not going to have money coming in, but it's like I also need to figure my stuff out because like clearly this life that I thought I was going to work here till I'm 60 years old, like it's not going to happen. So I need to figure out what the heck I'm actually going to do now. So that first month was doing that. I started building this AI dating profile analyzer because I was like, I'm a software engineer. I'll just do something that I think will probably make money and just like have some fun with it. And then a month in, I was like, wow, this is like way harder than I thought to actually build something that people will pay for. And I was just like, oh man, I resolved that at the end of this leave, at the end of the 3 months, I was going to quit no matter what. And so like that 1 month in just like was kind of a wake up call. And I was like, oh shoot, like I'm going to be jobless and have nothing going for me, or like, I mean, not nothing going for me, but like, I'm just going to have no idea what to do. And so I had seen other people in the past, other software developers who like have done entrepreneurship, and they all built an audience and like they built a following online, and they attributed a lot of their success to that. So about a month in, I was like, okay, I should go all in on this thing. Like, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to go all in. Like, if something needs to change, I'm going to try it out. I hated social media before. I actually like I was so judgmental of social media before, but then I forced myself to do the first post. And I think that post was first reel, actually, not first post, first reel, which was I'm going to quit my 350K job at Google.
I saw that.
To move into my parents' basement. And that was like the first reel I posted on my Instagram, and it actually just blew up. That got like over 1 million views in the end.
Wow.
And I think it brought me like 10 to 15K followers at the time. And I was just like, holy crap, this is insane. So that happened April 1st. That post happened on April 1st. And I remember in the gym, I was like at the gym in the bathroom when I checked the notifications and stuff. And I was like, I was like shaking. Like I was literally like shaking. And I was just like, what the heck is happening right now? And so I was like, originally my intent was I'm going to document 50 days to make my first $1,000, because I had realized how hard it was to actually make money. I could have done like coaching and stuff, but I didn't really want to go that route. So I was like, I'm going to try to make it product based. And so it's like, I'm going to document these 50 days. That first video, I said, I'm going to document these 50 days. So for every day for the 50 days, I posted every single day. I made like basically a vlog or talking head videos.
Mm-hmm.
And across that time period, I think I gained less followers. It was all mostly from that viral video. But I like steadily grew to like 20K. And then at the end, like around day 48 through 50, I had made enough posts. I had been studying content creation and all that stuff for long enough where I was like, I'm pretty confident that I can make more viral videos now. And so that's when I posted like this string of back-to-back viral videos at the end, which all got like over 100K views. And I like grew by another like, I don't know, 10, 20K. And then at the end, I was like, okay, I'm going to move into my parents' basement now. But actually, do I want to do this? Because I had actually booked a flight to Japan like a month or two into the leave. And I was just like, I didn't think I was going to take it. I was just like, maybe I'll take it.
Yeah.
And so I ended up being like, well, I'm getting traction here. And from going all in and taking this risk, I've already come this far. I might as well just go all in. And so I decided I'm going to do that, go to Japan. And then I documented that using like this content creation skill that I had learned. And then those videos also ended up blowing up, like the ones of me, like I'm saying I'm quitting my job now and I'm flying to Japan. That video brought me in like 30K followers. And then
a single video brought you in 30K.
Yep. It's the Project Freedom episode 1. It's like pinned to my Instagram. That one brought in a lot of followers. And yeah, that was like the real like foundation, I guess. Like I blew up in that first reel, and then at the end of the 50 days to 1K series, I like blew up again. That was like by far the biggest growth. And then up to today, I'm just like growing steadily. Nothing like uber viral like that anymore, but I'm now at like 154K on Instagram. So,
right.
Yeah.
On the topic, just because we're on content right now, like I'm curious. I've been posting for 2 years, and I think I have almost 500 posts, and I'm nowhere near 150,000 followers. I'm at like 70K. So you have grew much, much faster than me. And so I'm wondering, like, what have you learned about content, specifically converting viewers to followers?
Yeah. That's a good question. Converting viewers to followers, I think what worked for me is basically turning your life into a story. I remember at times I was like, wait, this is like, I'm making my life into reality TV almost. And I think that is kind of it is kind of a good way. It is a good way to gain followers. It's what I see a lot of folks who blow up quickly like this. Like
Yeah.
there are other people who have done something similar where it's like I'm calling it like a life transformation like series basically, because I'm trying to figure out what is actually happening here. And so there's this other guy that I have spoken with. He started a matcha truck at like 20 years old in college, and he blew up to like 40K followers over the course of like 10 posts. And his whole thing is like, is it possible to start a matcha business as a 20-year-old in college? And he wants to go on this journey to become a global food entrepreneur, food and beverage entrepreneur. And so that leads me to the second thing, which is at the end, I've noticed that a lot of these creators who blow up quickly, I think Rajan, who you had on too,
Yeah.
he also, so something I noticed that Rajan does, and what I did unconsciously at first, in my first reel, and what this matcha truck guy did, is we ask for follows at the end, or we basically say like follow to see what happens next, like follow basically to follow this reality TV series, right,
Gotcha.
of our lives. And that's for this specific virality method, I guess. I don't know, it's not very replicable because it's like a big life transition. I don't know how many you can't really like manufacture it for content, but for gaining followers in the way that I did, that has been very effective. I think people like to follow those kinds of stories, because my other things like talking heads and stuff, they get followers. If they do go viral, they also get followers, but not nearly at the same rate of like follower to view ratio.
It's actually really interesting because I never did a series until like my last week of college, and I did a 18-day bender series. And so I'm still gaining followers from that one video. Like the one intro video where you introduce what's really going to happen is a gold mine. And then the rest of them, sure, they may gain some, but it's nowhere near like compared to that first one. People really do. So it's actually an interesting thing, like turning into reality TV, where it's like turning your life into a movie and like almost making it cinematic. It's like kind of ending with a hook, follow to see what happens next, and keep people coming back. It's an interesting point, but I got to think, after watching some of your videos, especially that first one, the episode Project Freedom, you're a pretty good storyteller. And I don't know if you script your videos out or how much, if you read books on this or what, but can you kind of break down just what goes through your head when you're trying to storytell within content?
Yeah, absolutely. I script most of my content for like those kinds of like highly edited videos. For talking heads, I sometimes don't script, but sometimes I do. But in terms of how I actually do the storytelling, I did not know how to do it at first, but then I remember I talked to, I think like the first creator I talked to was like Alessi LeBlanc, and he told me, yeah, like storytelling is it right now on Instagram and like short form. So I was like, okay, I'll study this storytelling thing, and then that led me to Mino Lee, who is a content guy, and he has this storytelling framework which I use for a lot of my videos. Not to the T. It's not like a complete formula, but it's like the skeleton is hook, backstory, turning point, and then takeaway. That's like the structure. So for me, like Project Freedom episode 1 is the hook is I just quit my dream job and flew to Japan. The backstory is, I think it was like 4 months ago, I was living life right. I had the dream job at Google, the New York City apartment, all this setup of like that stuff. And then the turning point was, oh man, what was the turning point? I can't remember the exact turning point, but something about like the conflict of like I was going to quit my job, and then the takeaway is not always like a life lesson or anything for me. Like with this reality TV or like movie type thing, it was kind of like next step sort of thing, which is like, okay, I have these goals that I want to do now, so that's what I'm going to go for next. And I think that's what converts people as well, is like they want to figure out if you hit that, it's that first episode effects like you mentioned. So that's the framework that I use for a lot of my storytelling videos.
Okay. And then jumping back to the Google situation. So you mentioned you took that that mental health break. So that was 3 months. I'm pretty sure I did some research, and you went on a retreat during that time, correct?
The meditation retreat was like a month or two before that.
Okay, so I'm very curious about that meditation retreat.
Sure.
What does a meditation retreat look like?
Yeah, so this particular one was called Vipassana. So what this one looked like was it was in Canada, and I basically flew to Canada because I was like, something in my life needs to change now. So I was desperate. So I went to the first one available. And so in that retreat, it's 10 days of meditation, no phone, you can't speak.
Wow.
You're not even supposed to make eye contact. And then I became vegetarian for 10 days. And then no exercise at all. Can't go to, like, you can't work out or anything. You can walk. And so basically what you're doing all day is you're meditating for, I would say, upwards of 10 hours a day. And other than that, you're walking around and like eating food. And yeah, just mainly every day looks like meditation, either in the hall or in your room, mostly in the hall. And it was 10 days of that. So that's like the skinny of it.
What did that do to the mind?
Yeah. So that's where I realized, I remember I showed up there and I was thinking, I don't really know what's going to happen here. I showed up on day one. We're in this cafeteria and we're all just sitting there filling out the forms and everything. And I'm like, did it start yet? Am I supposed to talk to people? We didn't start yet, but like eventually over time, like after we did start, I started like on day one, I remember thinking like, nobody knows who I am here. Like nobody knows anything about me here. All these things that I was chasing, like what we mentioned with people who want to get into these big companies like BCG and Google, nobody cares about that stuff. Nobody cares about how much money I made, which I weighed very heavily at the time. I tied my self-worth very deeply to that. I won't say that I don't anymore, but like back then it was like very, very deep. And then also my title at Google, I was like running at the time and doing the whole hybrid athlete thing. And I was just like, wow, none of this even matters. Like none of this actually matters. Nobody even knows what my voice sounds like. Nobody even has like made eye contact with me. I'm just existing. And there's like, it just made me realize that it's almost like you're in it's like that escape the matrix, sort of moment where it's like, there is a life outside of this system that exists. Like people live as monks like this. And I realized this is fine. Like it was very intense meditation. Like it was really hard and painful, but like I realized that a life like this isn't bad. And it's like, this is just another way of living. I didn't have to live within like that system that I had been in for 27 years. Like there is alternatives. And so in terms of what that did to my mind, it was like, made me realize, okay, this stuff doesn't really matter that much. And so when I got back, I was like, yeah, why am I still here at this job? I have enough money to leave safely. Like I have all this stuff, and I've touched this part of my mind where it's like, I don't have to be doing this. Like there's other life paths out there. So that was the sort of unlock for me.
Did you experience ego death?
Yeah, I think I might have said I did at some point. I think there's I don't really know what the actual definition people use for ego death is, but in terms of the way I meant it in like the colloquial sense of ego, like like almost synonymous to arrogance, or like we have this sense of ego, like, oh, I'm like the big man here or something like that. And so in that way I did, because it was like, I used to lean on the fact, I remember I was such a judgmental and vain person. Still working on that, but like before this meditation retreat, I was like, I walk around and I'm thinking like, yeah, I work at Google. In the back of my mind, I'm not like saying that out loud to people, but I'm like, I work at Google, I make this much money, like I'm the shit, and I just at that retreat, I was like, wow, this identity, this thing that I really surrounded myself with as almost like armor, it's like nothing if it doesn't
Yeah.
really matter that much. So that's the kind of ego death I was describing. I think there's other terms of ego death which, like people on psychedelics and stuff do or
Yeah.
feel, but that's a different thing, I think, from what I've.
Dude, that's deep, and I appreciate you sharing that. Because first of all, every single person does what you just said right there. That are achievement oriented, I would say. I'm very
Yeah.
achievement oriented. I assume you're achievement oriented. Usually people that would work at Google or go to a good academic school are probably achievement oriented. But you walk around sometimes and you attach all of your self-worth, all of it, to some sort of status symbol. But as
Yeah.
soon as that status symbol goes away, or maybe you're not getting as many views, you spiral down into a weird, weird place. And your only way to get it back is to put your head down, grind, and try to achieve something amazing again so you can feel better about yourself. And it's like this never ending cycle. And then I'm starting to realize as I become more self aware, like I struggle with this a lot. I really do. But it seems like you did too, and you kind of fixed it to an extent. But like if you were advising me right now, or to the person that's extremely achievement oriented, how do they break free of that cycle?
Man, yeah. I think everyone's in a different spot. If I were to talk to my old self, I would say that honestly, if you can put yourself in that situation where you are separated from this environment where you are so accustomed to being this like achievement oriented, like holding on to this, the meditation retreat is what did it for me. It's like just tapping into that state of mind where you're not actually tied to these things that you've been tied with for years and years and years. Because I think you can do it on your own. I think it's possible. Like if you just do a lot of introspection, I did therapy and stuff and all that, and it helps. Um, but and it's all contributing. I think all that stuff helps. I would recommend all of that stuff, like meditation, therapy, just introspection. I talked to ChatGPT and like asked it
Yeah.
to give me outside
like
perspective and stuff.
likewise.
Yeah. But really, I think, yeah, something about that meditation retreat, I didn't really realize it at the time, but it just made my mind touch this space that I think actually impacted me more than I realized at the time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah.
Do you have you ever read books by Robert Greene? I literally bring Robert
Mhm.
Greene up on every single podcast. But have you read any of his books?
I watched so much of his like YouTube shorts and stuff, but
Yeah.
I haven't read the actual books.
He's an amazing, amazing author. You should. I cannot recommend some of his books. Like every single one of them, you should read. You should study. You
Okay.
shouldn't even read. But anyway, so one of them that I'm listening to right now is called "33 Strategies of War," and I forget what this strategy is called. Mm, maybe it's presence of mind. Maybe it's the third strategy. It's presence of mind. But anyway, he's referencing people, and he's talking about a lot of the times that we make people up to this huge godlike figure, like almost like mythic. But like if you take a step back and reframe and look at them as who they are, childlike, could be fat, could be ugly, could be selfish, could be narcissistic. You kind of take a step back and you realize that you're all humans on some form or another. And I thought it like it lines up to what you were saying with the retreat and taking a step back in meditation. So
Yeah.
I uh I think I really got to do a meditation retreat someday. But anyway, let's go to this topic right here. So being at Google, so you worked there for a couple of years. This was your dream. Do you think it was worth it?
Yeah, I think so. I think that I often wonder, like, what a, do I regret taking the path that I did instead of just going straight into, let's say, entrepreneurship or being a creator? And I honestly think there's just there wasn't any other way for me, or like there was other ways, but things happened as they kind of needed to. I don't know. I just kind of have this sort of outlook on life now, and it's sorry, you're gonna have to remind me of the original question. I just totally drew a blank.
Was it worth it working at
Was it worth
Google?
it? Right? Yeah, I think so. And the financial like gain that I got from it definitely was a huge boost for me. I even now I think, I in the concept of personal branding, I get to borrow Google's branding, which is so
True.
strong, which gets all
True.
these kids dreaming about joining Google. I get to borrow that and put that into my branding. So it's like, for me, it was definitely worth it. Um, there was just a tipping point where it no longer did become worth it, but
Yeah.
working there for sure.
On the topic of like finance, I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere. Did you write somewhere that you've amassed a network of 750K by
Yeah,
age?
I'm
You're,
transparent about it.
yeah.
I put it out there.
That well, first of all, very impressive. That's amazing. But I'm moving to New York in less than a week, and so New York's pretty expensive. I've been tripping a lot about finances, trying to get everything sorted. But how have you gotten a net worth of $750,000 by the age of how old are you?
27.
27.
Yeah. Yeah, New York's expensive, man. It's so expensive. But
It's expensive.
yeah, I think just like anything, it's a combination of luck and skill and knowledge. So I need to always like I always say that I was very lucky in that my parents paid for my tuition, which is so I started from zero, which is honestly a
Yeah.
head start compared to most people. So that's great. And then also I picked a major which had high income potential. That like partially is luck. Part of that is also I did think about that before I picked it. But in terms of actually getting there from that starting point, I think that everyone in finance talks about compound interest, the magic of compounding, like the what is it, seventh wonder of the world or something. But
Yeah.
it's so yeah. I started early, and for my particular situation, when I graduated into the pandemic, which meant that I was living at home, and so I
Hmm.
was basically not spending money, and I was just investing everything. In terms of the investments that I made, I went into mainly it's like strange. I went on the two ends of the spectrum. One was like crypto, and then the other was mostly like almost all of it was in index funds, and then I had like crypto.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
definitely two ends of the spectrum.
yeah. But I would say be responsible about it. I think index funds are if you don't know anything about investing and you just don't want to like worry about it, I would say invest in index funds, and that's like the safest bet you can make because it's just buying all of the stocks of like
Right.
the that you of the like the stock market. So I just did that, and it was just boring work of learning finance. I studied financial independence. That's a great resource online. Um, and budgeted. I didn't spend that much money, so that was good. Throughout my 5 years of like working corporate, I didn't spend more than 30 something percent of my income every year.
Okay.
So that definitely helped. But I would say by far the biggest thing was just making a lot of money, which is like at my first job, I was making 90K, which is already good. And then at Google, my first year working at Google, I was making like 220 something K. And I was just like, that's when I realized. I remember when I got that, when I started getting offers, because Google wasn't the only offer I got at the time. It was
Yeah.
pandemic hiring. So I was getting a lot of offers. And I was thinking like, dude, I was spending so long on this budgeting sheet. I was spending so long on like trying to optimize my expenses, like agonizing over the smallest things. If I just focused on getting this job, and I could have, I could have made so much more money. And so that's
Wow.
when I realized, like, it's like, yeah, this income is probably, if you want to get a lot, make a lot of money, I think getting a big income is the first lever to pull. And then after that, it's going to be investment knowledge because there are people who have big incomes and then they just spend it all, right? So
Right.
um, but yeah, I think income number one, learning how to invest number two, and invest in yourself as well as invest in stocks, index funds, all that stuff. And then number three would be like budgeting and all that stuff.
Well, so what's your percentage based on investing in yourself and investing in the market? And
Hmm.
are there different levels to that for like different ages from your experience?
Yeah, I think investing in myself nowadays is higher. I spend a lot on subscriptions and stuff towards like being a creator and trying to run a business now, like starting it out. When I started out, I thought that, courses, coaches, all that stuff, therapy, I thought all that stuff was a scam because like I
Yeah.
had grown up with this programming. It's like if someone's selling you something, they're trying to extract from you.
Hmm.
I never really saw it as investing in yourself. So early on, I didn't really do that. But I put in the time to learn everything on my own. So I still was investing time wise. Like I invested so heavily into learning financial independence, how to budget, how to invest, all this stuff. So yeah, I think. But in terms of the actual financial breakdown, early on, I think it was like money wise, not that much went into investing in myself. What I say would be like I invested in myself in was I paid for a mock interview from like a big tech software engineer.
Yeah.
That would be an example of investing in myself because that, who knows, maybe that made the difference in one of my interviews, and that got me like the job that paid me 100K more per year. And so it's like that's an example of how investing in yourself can potentially have this giant ROI, whereas investing in the market is going to be, um, let's say like 8% every year or 10% every year. So
Yeah. Dude, it's actually such an interesting point that you brought up the whole budgeting and then just making more money, because essentially what that comes down to is like, dude, that's scarcity mindset. That's
exactly.
thinking like, oh, like your money is scarce and you don't really have the belief in yourself to be able to go out and earn more money. So you're going to stress so much over a little bit of budgeting and where the money's leaking out and try to like save it every other way. And Alex Hormozy actually talks about this a ton. It's like, bro, just focus on yourself, develop the skills, and then just earn more freaking money, and then you can go that way, which I'm sure is, it's easier said than done to get out of that mindset, because I actually see right now with all the stuff I'm trying to do with New York, I made a peace of mind fund. I was listening to Diary of a CEO podcast, and it's
Mhm.
like just have a little vault with 1 month's expenses. So I made a peace of mind fund. I made an emergency fund. I think that's whatever, 6-12 months. Like there's tax funds and there's business expenses and yada 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 yada. And so I'm trying to figure that stuff out. But it's I also just lost my train of
Oh,
thought
no, you're
with
good.
where I was going. But yeah. The finances thing are legit 100%, 100%. But there's another thing that I saw you write down in your blog, and it was a quote. And I was wondering if you could explain this quote a little bit more. And what that was is, understand that ethical wealth creation is possible. If you secretly despise wealth, it will elude you. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. Yeah, it goes along the topic of what you said with scarcity mindset. I think, especially for me, I think a lot of us, especially for immigrant kids, it's there's this programming around money where money is so scarce. Money is something you have to protect. Like you earn it, and it's so precious, and it's like you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose it, and like, and in that way, we start to see money as something where it's almost feels evil. I remember when I was a kid, I would want to buy video games, and I would, and my parents would be like, "No, we can't. It's too expensive. Like $60 for a video game. Actually, back then that is pretty expensive for a video game. But like,
It's kind of expensive.
yeah. But it's like stuff like that, and it's like, oh, can I? I remember I would always get the cheapest thing on the menu because money was always talked about with such. We just don't have enough, and it just felt like there was always this stress, house payments, like car payments, and it bleeds into you as a kid, right? So then
Right.
we end up, at least for me, I ended up seeing money as like this evil thing. Chasing money is an evil thing because if you're chasing money, you're extracting from other people. Kind of call back to what we talked about, and so I thought that money was like evil, and I think it subconsciously made, when you see money that way, it made me feel like, well, if I chase money, then I'm evil. And
Mm.
so it's like, I think even at my first job, I was trying to teach myself, you're making 90K as a new grad. This is like good enough, and like you don't need more. And it just kept me thinking, if I do go for more, I'm compromising my integrity. And so that basically kept me in this mindset of like, I shouldn't chase more money. Money doesn't buy happiness. All this other stuff that society says, right? And so when I um, got into Google, even then, even after getting into Google, I was thinking, this is ethical money. I'm making money off of a company, and companies are evil because all they do is make money. So I was like, I'm siphoning the money onto me. I'm being ethical right now. And so all of that is like the subconscious programming that like went into my brain. And so when it finally came time for me to start selling stuff, it became this thing where it's like, oh man, I'm evil right now if I sell stuff. I still deal with that now. I
Oh,
think as a creator or an entrepreneur, a lot of people deal with this. And so now I'm still working through this, but it's like I know I could have made more money. I know I could have, and the thing is, money isn't necessarily. I've seen it now. Money isn't necessarily extractive. Like people when they work with me now have said like, dude, you've like, okay, this is gonna sound cocky, but like they just have like said that I've changed their lives, and I charge them money, and it's like the whole point of exchanging money is like both parties get something out of it, and I always thought that it was a one-way transaction, and so I thought that it was like an evil thing. And so what the result of that downstream of always thinking that charging money was like an evil thing was that I didn't think that I should be charging money. I shouldn't uh, make more money. I shouldn't chase more money. And so in the end, if I were to keep following that, I wouldn't build real wealth for myself. And that's like the point of the quote is like, if you secretly despise wealth, if you secretly despise it, you will
yeah.
not become wealthy. And I think that's true.
I mean, that's a pretty deep thought. But one thing just from my experience, bro, like the knowledge that you have and some of the difficult things that you've done, don't ever be like afraid of charging people for that. Like when someone tells you that you change your life, like that's legit, bro. Like you can't get any more real from that. And like you see the audience that you have. Like just like this, you can court attention so much that 150,000 people will come out and follow you. And so that's saying something. And at some point, like your time is only so valuable. You can only go so many more directions. And there's so much people coming in that like you have to charge. But it's a deep thought. And I'm curious to see how that keeps going for you because yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, but you can't hate selling and like charging
Yeah.
people for that. Otherwise, I don't know, bro. Like, yeah. But anyway, that's a thought off the top of my head. But so you're in Japan right now. Um, and so one thing you said earlier is what's important to you is like freedom and agency, right? But something that I found that I struggle with is when you have total freedom, a lot of the times what freedom equates to is like isolation. So like right now I have all the freedom in the world. I'm not working a corporate job. I'm able to do my content. I'm able to do this podcast, but I'm sitting in my house in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And honestly, bro, I miss college. I miss being around people. I miss having stuff tangible to do. And so I'm wondering, like, you're kind of solo traveling right now, right? Like, do you struggle with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think the lonely it's ironic, especially in the social media. I think one of the guys I know, I think you know too, Yoni, he mentioned that it's ironic how doing social media is actually very lonely. Um,
Extremely lonely.
yeah, so I do absolutely deal with that. I think it's just the it is ironic that having the freedom ends up making you lonely. It ends up I don't know, you think back to the times where you had more structure, right? So I do deal with that. I am solo traveling right now. I don't speak Japanese and I'm just like not able to converse with people. So it's definitely a problem I deal with.
And so are you putting systems in your life or stuff like that to make it better? Or how are you getting past it?
Yeah, I think that I have it's like a cost benefit thing, I think. So I see what I'm doing now as like a investment for the long term. So it's like I'm dealing with this
Mm.
loneliness now. I'm seeing it as like uh I think okay, so I know because you listen to like Hormozy and Dario CEO. I think Chris Williamson. I don't know if you listen to his podcast, but he talks about this period called the lonely chapter, which is like when you're transitioning from, let's say, for me, it's like a big life transition. So it's like I haven't met a lot of uh, friends who are like along this path. I just see it as like I'm in this lonely chapter right now where I had my past life, which I was so accustomed to, and I'm moving towards this new life of being a creator and an entrepreneur. And I'm just gonna like take it as it is now and just like I'm meeting people like yourself and let's say other creators now, and that sort of thing. So I just see it as this transitory period where I think eventually, I hope that I won't be as lonely. I think in terms of systems to help as of now, I call my parents, talking to other creators online, having this community online. I think one of the things is really cool is followers from across the world commenting on my posts and
Right.
stuff.
Right.
But yeah, another thing I'm doing now today is actually I signed up for like this group dinner thing where it's like you get randomly assigned with strangers. This is the first time I'm doing this in Japan, so it's like I'm still figuring it out. I don't really have that many systems in place, but I think the
Yeah.
most important thing for me is like having that mission of like I set out to do this for a reason, and so that
Right.
keeps me driven even though when the times are hard like this and dealing with problems like this, the benefit for me of like driving towards my mission at the speed that I am right now,
Yeah.
it outweighs the cost.
Gotcha. That is one of my biggest fears, though, of being an entrepreneur. First of all, an entrepreneur, but an online entrepreneur, someone running an online business, is there is no office. There's not really an in-person team. And I've just found from like personal experience, like isolation is one of the worst things in the world because it sucks the life source out of you. And it's
Mhm.
very, very hard to stay motivated. But if you can find different ways, like this little dinner thing, that's interesting. Do these people speak, like, do they speak
I
English
don't
or
know,
are
like
you going to
random
be
people, but
cooked?
oh, they do speak English. Yeah, thankfully,
Okay. Okay.
thankfully. Yeah, I've seen other creator entrepreneurs who are in person with like other creator entrepreneurs, like maybe they're in Bali or in America. But I hope that eventually I can have something like that where I'm just like I have a tight uh, group of folks who are just traveling with me and stuff. But yeah, for now, for now it's isolation. So
Oh, that's fine. Sometimes maybe you need a little isolation. But anyway, okay, so you're building this software. I saw on your blog there was one thing that I think you screwed up the dating one, right? And it was
mhm.
it was the whole dilemma between building and then validating.
Yeah,
What does that mean?
yeah. So this is talked about a lot in the like solopreneur software developer stuff, building SaaS applications, which is overbuilding before you validate a demand for something. So for something like software, it takes a long time to build. Faster now because of AI, but still, it's a big investment. And so what the issue is that for me, when I was building this AI dating profile analyzer, it took me 3 weeks to get like the most bare bones MVP of people upload their photos and then they get a report of like their dating profile. It's funny thinking
Mhm.
back now because life has changed so much from this, but like that was the MVP, and it took me 3 weeks. And then when I launched it, I didn't get any users because I didn't have any audience. I didn't really like do any reach out, and so my only options then were okay. I either have to like cold reach out to people. I have to either just like DM people about
Yeah.
this, or I need to do all this other stuff. But here's the problem: is that I don't even know if people would pay for this at all. So it's like I realized that I spent these 3 weeks, but I hadn't actually validated any demand. I just was building in isolation, which is now what I think is like it's almost like avoidance of doing the hard work, which is especially for engineers, which is selling and validating demand. So
Right.
what I do now is to sell before I build. Um, so one of the things that I do this with everything now. I think even with my coaching offer before, I didn't have the full program built out, and I will say that actually did end up making it not as good as I wanted it to be. But I was able to validate that people would actually pay me for coaching first before just like building out this entire extensive curriculum that might or might not have actually been used. And then also with this new product I'm building, digital product that I'm building, it's like I pre-sold it. So it's like I'm not selling the actual thing yet. I'm selling the promise that I will deliver it.
Mm.
And so I got sales for that. And so I was able to validate, okay, so people actually want this thing of like my creator like system. So it's like now I know I can build this thing and I won't be doing what I did with the AI dating profile thing, which is building for 3 weeks, building out the whole course and all this stuff, and then not being able to not even knowing if anyone's going to buy at the end.
Right.
So yeah,
So the products that you're selling right now are what?
I have I sold a coaching offer. I don't know if I'm going to do that again. That was for like content. That was for personal branding. That was like a 4-week program. And then right now I'm selling, or I pre-sold Creator OS, which is like my content system, as well as it's like, it's a course, and it's like how I would, what the system I wish I had when I started, which is to understand what the hell to actually post, and
Yeah.
then how to actually make these posts, like editing and the viral formats and stuff that work. So that's what I'm selling now. In the past, I've sold other stuff too. Like one of the things was what I call the job offer system. That was another digital product about how I got my tech offers. So I got 5 offers. One of them was Google. And so that was like that. And I also have sold this thing I call the software engineering offer vault. And that's a digital product, which is like a database of other like quote unquote average software engineers who didn't go to IVs, who didn't like
Right.
have the traditional big tech background, and all their resumes and everything compiled in one place. So I've sold a bunch of different things at this point, but right now the main thing I'm working on is the Creator OS one.
Well, so now you're separating yourself from just being a creator into a business person. So the styles of content and some of the stuff you do differ a little bit. So can we just focus on the business aspect of this? Your main goal probably is to add value, but to drive people to and give them a CTA. So what does that look like fitting that into content?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's one of the things I'm still figuring out as I go now, because I am in like that transitory phase. In terms of driving people to it, I think I like what Hormozy says, which is to give, give, give. Same thing with Gary Vee. I think he has this concept of like jab, 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 right hook, and the right hook is the ask, where you actually ask people for money. But the jabs are like all the free stuff that you're giving out: build goodwill, build trust, all that good stuff. So like before I had monetized it all, it's just all goodwill building, all like just free value, all that stuff. And so the way I look at it is my content on my main feed is like 99% of the time it's going to just be like me just making content. That's all free stuff. People can learn about me and all that stuff. And then when it comes to actually selling things, I typically promote them in my Instagram stories every once in a while. Yeah, because the Instagram stories are the people who are more engaged with you. They're watching like these like back to like behind the scenes stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I do it. And yeah, I think maybe like one in 100, like one in every like 50 to 100 reels, I'll do a CTA in a reel so far. So
Okay.
To a paid product, I mean.
And how much money have you generated since getting started?
I've made a little over 20K.
No shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And your whole thing starting off was $1,000 in 50 days, right?
Yeah.
Dude,
that
good
first
for you,
$1,000
bro.
was the hardest part. That was way harder than making the next like 20K.
Okay, so why? Why do you think it was so much harder?
It's a mindset thing. It's such a mindset thing. And also you're going from 0 to 1. That's the hardest part of any endeavor, whether it's the gym, whether it's making money, whether it's even getting like your software engineering degree, like computer science degree, all that stuff. Is like when you're starting from 0, you have no idea what the heck is like happening. Like I didn't know anything about being a creator. I didn't know, like I knew how to make videos because I had made Minecraft YouTube videos when I was a kid, but I didn't know what the heck. I didn't know business. I didn't know entrepreneurship. I can make all this money as an employee, but I didn't know anything. So I was like, I had to deal with just not knowing anything about that, and then also having to deal with this mindset of the selling, which I talked about with like secretly despising wealth, and not knowing there's so many skills. Being a creator entrepreneur is like being an entrepreneur in general is just this giant amalgamation of a bunch of skills.
So much.
It's ridiculous, but it's like it's also fun. But there's just so much to learn to be able to get to that first dollar, I think. And it's mindset, it's skills, it's everything. So yeah, there's just a lot to get into. I don't know. We could go into the specifics, but let me know.
What do you think's the next big hurdle for you to get? To get from 20K to 100K?
The next big hurdle, I think, is to commit to this concept that I hear from Alex Hormozy, Dan Martell, all these guys. They say like one product, one avatar, one channel, $1 million. Like, just stick to one core offer. Because right now I've tried so much stuff. I've tried the digital products. I've tried the tech career stuff. I've tried the coaching offer now, and now I'm doing this course, and it's just like, and I've experimented with YouTube monetization, affiliate links, all this stuff. So my focus is just way too scattered to do anything well. And yeah, I think to dial that in would be the hurdle to get to 100K.
Where do you think your best strengths are? Like, would it be on the personal branding thing? Would that be where you niche down?
I think my strengths in regards to building the brand, I think my strength is my transparency and authenticity, which I think is like my unique moat. In terms of making money, I knew I could have made a lot of money getting people tech jobs. That's just such a,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's a huge advantage.
Such a prominent thing. Yeah, and it is like a giant advantage that I have because I have massive social proof there. I know I could have made a lot of money there. So that is like one of the unfair advantages. I tried to do it, but I ended up feeling like I just didn't have what some people call this like founder market fit, or founder product fit. Sorry, not market, founder product fit, which is like, I just didn't feel good about doing it because I think I was too close to having quit Google to like be able to sell that, because I was just like, I had all this resentment built up. And so I was like, I just couldn't bring myself to sell that. But that would have been probably my biggest unfair advantage. If I had like gun to my head, if I need to make $1 million in this year, I would go all in on that if like I'm going to die if I don't do it. So that would be my unfair advantage, I think. And then the other one would be, personal branding, because people have seen me do it from the start. I've like documented the whole journey. And I think I've established pretty good trust, as evidenced by like the pre-sales I was able to make.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dude, I wonder, cause we're just gonna walk through a little therapy business session right here.
No worries.
I wonder, bro, because your huge selling point with a ton of social proof is Google. And I know that there's probably a lot of people out there that were in the same exact position as you, and they're trying to decide if they should quit their job or not. But you were able to quit your job, and now you're living proof success that, this can happen. You can walk people through a framework. Okay, if you're thinking about quitting your job, let's get all of this in order. Let's get all of this in order, and let's figure it out. Maybe specific to tech. Maybe you should, I don't know, like get certain benefits from Google or whatever, XYZ. Maybe there's a market for that. Potentially, I don't know, and you can still use your Google social proof brand name. Just off the top of my mind.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's it's really cool that you mentioned that, because that's something I've thought about before. I had this vision of this brand called Escape Velocity, and I just had it from the beginning. It's like escaping like the
Matrix.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like escaping the gravitational pull of the Matrix. And so that's like it's exactly what you were speaking of, basically, which is guiding people through the exact journey that I went through. So I mean, it's cool to hear you say that, because I think that is aligned with me. Like, it has that founder product fit, and maybe there is a market for it. I'm not sure. I haven't tested it enough yet.
Right. And so I've never seen anybody actually do that stuff before, but there are many people who struggle with that. But like at the end of the day, Jim, what did you need? You needed a lot of self-reflection. You probably also just needed people to talk to, and then you needed specific systems that you could go through, look, and make sure that you're financially going to be able to survive. And like, if you could provide those three things to another person, I mean, the ROI you're giving them to get out of something that makes them so depressed and miserable. And if you can sell the dream and paint the next 40 years about your life can be whatever it wants, but also sell the nightmare and say, guess what? If you don't, this is what it's going to look like. I don't know, bro. It's kind of fired
Yeah.
me up, and
Yeah, bro,
you
you're
could
selling
do.
me on this. Yeah.
I, but on the topic of business, I'm there's a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure you're not at the point of delegation and hiring yet, are you?
I have hired an assistant that I like just did that. So
Oh,
that's
you
like my
have.
first hire. Yeah,
How,
I just did it. Yeah.
how's that been for you?
Oh, it's been cool. It's been like kind of crazy to I guess kind of be a manager now.
Right.
It's useful. I think like having someone to do the admin work. It's still I think we're not even a week in yet. So
Okay.
I'm still working through how this actually works and onboarding and stuff. But I see the power of this, having the potential of this, like someone writing SOPs for you, someone doing
Yeah.
like this admin work. Even if I want to book travel, I can ask her now to be like, yeah, I want to go to Korea, but I don't want to waste time searching up the Airbnbs. That stuff takes forever, right? So it's like
Yo,
I see the power of it.
how much you
Mhm.
where'd you find her first of all?
So I went through this agency of this other influencer I know. I don't know if I should like name it or promote it because like I haven't like gone through enough of this process yet to like
Yeah,
really feel like
you don't
I
have to
could prove
name
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm in the process right now of now we have two employees working for this podcast. One of them's
Nice.
amazing, the other one's amazing too. One's been with me from day one, but there's a lot of like growing pains and figuring out and like managing people. But like delegation is the best thing in the world because it saves you so much time, but it also sucks in the moment because you feel like you're wasting time doing something that's not giving you a good return in the moment. But in the long run, it'll give you an excellent return. But the biggest thing that I'm starting to get more familiar with, and it makes me like tweak out every time I hear it, is SOPs. Holy cow. I've been trying to make so many SOPs lately, and I know I'm not doing it entirely right, but it's been a clusterfuck. I don't know.
Wait, are you
What's your
writing it? Are you
yeah?
writing the SOPs yourself? Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
I'm using ChatGPT too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're not
Yeah.
writing any of your SOPs?
I I thought about it because I was like, I just can't bring myself to do it. So I'm like trying to get I'm having my assistant write them, and I'm just like, I just do not want to write SOPs. I just like
Literally.
something about it. I just don't want to do it. I don't know if I should or not, but it's like one of those things where I would rather just have someone else do it and I review it and then like ask them to modify it.
Yeah, I mean, it literally just it just feels like a waste of time.
Yeah,
But it
right.
also is pretty. And the other thing I'm starting to understand about delegation is once you start delegating, you kind of get a little bit lazy. Like for example, I brought on my main editor does all the long form stuff. Our other editor does all these shorts. But there's one podcast this week that he can't edit because it wasn't in Riverside. So I have to go and edit this
Mm,
stuff. And dude, it's like it's killing me to edit
yeah,
this. It's like tough. I'm
yeah,
like, yeah, I don't want to do I don't want to do any of this
yeah.
stuff. But anyway, all right. Man, I think we've covered a lot of really good topics. Jim, is there anything else that you feel is very fundamental to who you are, your story, your purpose, your mission that could add value to anybody else's life that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that increasingly over time, I originally thought that for life, the goal of life is to achieve the external metrics and everything, and in a way, it is. But I'm increasingly believing that that's the byproduct of doing this one thing, which is to become more yourself.
Hmm.
And it's like this quote that I read recently just hit basically my entire journey, which is from Carl Jung. He says it's the privilege of a lifetime to become yourself, something like that. And it's like I find that to be just so true. Like the more I acted in alignment with who I am, the better the results have been actually. Like even now, like having quit my job and taking this giant risk, the world has kind of responded in kind. I know this is almost like a spiritual woo woo type thing, but it's like I just feel that yeah, the more you become aligned with yourself, it's like the more stuff just comes to you, like the and like I just feel better having done that. I just think that that has become my new sort of thing, is like trying to find this journey to myself. That's like the goal rather than choosing these external things. Even though I do chase them, of course, I haven't deprogrammed that or anything. I don't think that you need to deprogram that. But that's my biggest thing, is to if I could tell my past self something, I would say like, like try to find yourself. That's the whole goal. That's the real goal in the end.
Well said, Jim. And where can people find you if they want to connect or take a look into some of your business opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. I am primarily on Instagram. My handle is Jim Ray Tang. Ray is spelled R-U-I, so Jim R-U-I Tang. And I have my site, which is jimtang.io, and you can see all my products and my blog and everything there.
Amazing. Well, the Gross Potential community says thank you, bro. It was awesome having you on this, and a lot of respect for the journey that you're on. Like I said at the start, it is really not easy kind of getting out of that situation and having enough faith and confidence in yourself. So a lot of respect for that, Jim. Thank you for coming on, and everybody, take care. I am a huge dreamer, and because of that, the Gross Potential team set 2 very big goals to hit by December 31st, 2025. Number 1 is to hit 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, and number 2 is to drop the number of people who watch our show but don't subscribe to us down from 92% to 80%. So the only favor I will ever ask is that if you get value from the show, or get entertainment, or a new fire lit up inside of you, please, please, please hit that subscribe button, because it supports us in the best way possible.